Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda bersama saya Nabilah Khaleeda dalam Niaga AWANI. Seperti biasa pada jam ini kita akan berikan laporan berita bisnes, kewangan dan juga ekonomi. Jadi kita mulakan dengan perkembangan ini. Malaysia menerima sokongan dan pengiktirafan mengagumkan daripada para pemimpin industri dan perniagaan di Jerman dengan pelaburan berpotensi bernilai 45.4 bilion ringgit. Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim berkata, sokongan dan pengiktirafan itu turut diterima daripada kalangan pemimpin politik.
In this program, that yes, we have registered a very impressive support, commitment not only among political leaders, very fast for the German government, the Chancellor, to invite me and the team to come and giving the honour and recognition to Malaysia, which is relatively much smaller economy, much smaller country.
Anwar berucap pada majlis makan malam bersama diaspora Malaysia di Berlin pada Selasa. Pada Isnin, beliau mengadakan pertemuan dengan rakan sejawatannya di Jerman, Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Kedua-dua pemimpin itu membincangkan kemajuan hubungan Malaysia-Jerman, terutama kerjasama ekonomi, pendidikan, alam sekitar, ekspor minyak sawit dan kelestarian di samping bertukar pandangan mengenai krisis kemanusiaan di Palestin dan isu global lain yang mempunyai kepentingan bersama. Delegasi ke Jerman juga mendapat sokongan hebat daripada kapten-kapten industri.
And then the support by the captains of industry, as Astro said, quite rare. And you have impressive array of chieftains, industry captains from large conglomerates coming, meeting us. Some we meet in the group, some we meet individually. And these exchanges have been extremely useful for us.
Anwar berkata Malaysia mencatatkan pelaburan berpotensi bernilai 45.4 bilion ringgit semasa lawatan di Jerman. Pelaburan berpotensi itu hadir daripada pelbagai industri seperti semikonduktor, aeroangkasa, peranti perubatan, kimia dan perkhidmatan. Beliau berkata semua itu adalah mungkin dengan disokong oleh kestabilan politik yang dimiliki Malaysia dan kestabilan politik adalah penting bagi kalangan pelabur. Awal Selasa, lebih 35 kapten industri dan perniagaan menyertai mesyuarat meja bulat dengan Anwar yang juga Menteri Kewangan. Antara yang menghadiri mesyuarat itu ialah Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif CEO Kumpulan Siemens AG Dr. Roland Bush, CEO B. Braun, GmbH Anna Braun dan CEO Melexis Mark Biron. Turut hadir Presiden Airbus Asia Pacific, Pengarah Urusan Volkswagen Group Malaysia dan Ketua Pegawai Operasi Infineon Technologies. Wakil dari Dewan Perniagaan Jerman, Dewan Perniagaan Malaysia Jerman dan Persatuan Perusahaan Kecil dan Sederhana Jerman turut hadir. Terdapat lebih 700 syarikat Jerman yang berpangkalan di Malaysia dengan 65,000 pekerjaan diwujudkan. Jerman menjadi rakan dagang terbesar Malaysia dalam kalangan negara anggota Kesatuan Eropah sejak 2000, manakala Malaysia adalah rakan dagang terbesar Jerman daripada kalangan negara anggota ASEAN. Pada 2023, jumlah perdagangan Malaysia dengan Jerman meningkat 5.9% kepada 63.45 bilion ringgit daripada 59.87 bilion ringgit pada 2022.
Lebih 35 pemimpin industri dan perniagaan menyertai mesyuarat meja bulat dengan Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim di Berlin, Jerman pada Selasa. Perdana Menteri mengambil peluang untuk memberi jaminan kepada perniagaan Jerman bahawa Malaysia kekal sebagai antara lokasi terbaik dan pilihan untuk pelabur.
Syarikat daripada ekonomi terbesar dunia itu yang hadir pada sesi tersebut terlibat dalam sektor seperti tenaga, peranti perubatan, semikonduktor, elektronik, jentera, otomotif dan aeroangkasa. Antara yang menghadiri mesyuarat itu ialah Ketua Pegawai Eksekutif CEO Kumpulan Siemens AG Dr. Roland Bush, CEO B. Braun GmbH Anna Braun dan CEO Melexis Mark Biron. Turut hadir Presiden Airbus Asia Pacific Anand Stanley dan Pengarah Urusan Volkswagen Group Malaysia Dr. Susan Lehmann dan Ketua Pegawai Operasi Infineon Technologies Dr. A.G. Rutger Wiebuk. Selain itu, wakil dari Dewan Perniagaan Jerman, Dewan Perniagaan Malaysia Jerman dan Persatuan Perniagaan Kecil dan Sederhana Jerman (BVMW). Pada masa ini terdapat lebih 700 syarikat Jerman yang beroperasi di Malaysia mewujudkan 65,000 pekerjaan. Jerman menjadi rakan dagang terbesar Malaysia dalam kalangan negara-negara anggota Kesatuan Eropah sejak tahun 2000, manakala Malaysia adalah rakan dagang terbesar Jerman dalam kalangan negara-negara anggota ASEAN. Pada 2023, jumlah perdagangan Malaysia dengan Jerman naik 5.9% kepada 63.45 bilion ringgit daripada 59.87 bilion ringgit pada 2022.
Sejumlah 4.5 bilion ringgit pelaburan dari syarikat-syarikat Jerman telah diluluskan dan akan dimulakan tahun ini. Menteri Pelaburan, Perdagangan dan Industri Tengku Datuk Seri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz berkata, pelaburan ini melibatkan syarikat Exfab, Melexis dan Short yang turut serta dalam mesyuarat meja bulat bersama Perdana Menteri dan Kapten Industri pada Selasa.
Exfab, Melexis dengan Short contohnya telah memaklumkan kepada kita mengenai projek yang sekarang di dalam pembangunan di negara kita, di Sarawak dan di Kedah dan di Penang contohnya, dan mereka menjangkakan operasi akan bermula pada tahun ini, dan sejumlah pelaburan ini adalah lebih kurang 4.5 bilion ringgit. So dan Muhammad Perdana Menteri pun bersetuju untuk hadir contohnya dalam salah satu opening untuk salah satu syarikat. Ini kerana kita nak memberi emphasis juga kepada pelaksanaan, apa yang diumumkan itu perlu juga dilaksanakan, dan alhamdulillah.
Beliau berkata demikian ketika ditemui media selepas pertemuan secara bersemuka antara delegasi Malaysia yang diketuai Perdana Menteri Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Menurutnya, sesi bersama industri pada Selasa juga berjaya meraih komitmen pelaburan baru dalam sektor bernilai tinggi.
Dan juga ada pelaburan baru yang telah dipersetujui pada mesyuarat roundtable dan juga one-on-one meeting hari ini dengan potensial atau pelaburan sejumlah 45.4 bilion ringgit. Ya. Dan potensial pelaburan ini merangkumi penambahan pelaburan yang sedia ada dan juga pelaburan baru. Dan pelaburan-pelaburan ini dalam sektor semiconductor, aerospace, medical devices, chemical dan juga perkhidmatan.
Tambahnya lagi, Kementerian Pelaburan, Perdagangan dan Industri MITI dan Lembaga Pembangunan Pelaburan Malaysia MAIDA akan terus membantu memudah cara urusan perdagangan dan pelaburan syarikat-syarikat Jerman dan Kesatuan Eropah EU.
Baik, seterusnya laporan Ketua Audit Negara atau LKN Penyata Kewangan Agensi Persekutuan tahun 2022 telah dibentangkan di Dewan Rakyat pada 6 Mac 2024 setelah mendapat perkenan yang Seri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong, dan kita nak meneliti terhadap peranan penting rakyat dalam memahami dan juga menyokong pelaksanaan audit ini serta bagaimana laporan audit ini memainkan peranan dalam meningkatkan tadbir urus dan tanggungjawab fiskal kerajaan. Jadi sudah bersedia dalam talian adalah Dr. Zaidi Mak Daud, Ketua Program atau Pensyarah Kanan Sekolah Perniagaan dan Ekonomi UPM. Selamat pagi Dr. Zaidi.
Ya, selamat pagi.
Baik, mungkin pertama sekali boleh kongsikan mengapa rakyat perlu cana tentang perkembangan laporan audit ini dan apakah peranan kita sebagai rakyat untuk apa yang perlu kita lakukan apabila laporan ini dikeluarkan?
Okey, terlebih dahulu terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Astro AWANI kerana memberi ruang kepada saya untuk berkongsi pandangan berkenaan dengan topik ini. Berbalik kepada soalan mengapa rakyat perlu cana kepada laporan Ketua Audit Negara. Saya melihat laporan Ketua Audit Negara ini merupakan satu platform di mana rakyat boleh mendapat gambaran serta maklumat yang sebenar serta jelas berkaitan dengan pengurusan kewangan dan juga tata kelola yang diamalkan oleh agensi kerajaan. Jadi setiap tahun seperti yang kita maklum, setiap tahun agensi kerajaan akan mendapat dana daripada kerajaan setelah diluluskan oleh Parlimen. Jadi sebagai rakyat kita perlu ambil tahu ke mana dana ini dibelanjakan, bagi tujuan apa, dan juga adakah matlamat yang telah ditetapkan sebelum ini tercapai. Kemudian berbalik kepada kepentingan laporan Ketua Audit Negara ini. Saya melihat laporan audit ini membolehkan pegawai dan juga agensi kerajaan dibertanggungjawabkan untuk penggunaan sumber dana. Okey, dengan adanya dengan kita memeriksa transaksi dan juga operasi yang dijalankan, yang dibuat oleh agensi kerajaan, kita dapat mengetahui sejauh mana pematuhan terhadap undang-undang, peraturan dan polisi dalaman yang ditetapkan dalam menguruskan dana awan tersebut. Yang kedua, saya melihat laporan audit ini juga dapat mengukuhkan ketulusan kerana ia mendedahkan penemuan, rumusan dan juga cadangan kepada rakyat. Okay, jadi dengan adanya ketulusan maklumat ini, rakyat akan lebih percaya dan juga yakin terhadap pembuatan keputusan yang dibuat oleh agensi kerajaan. Dan akhir sekali saya melihat kepentingan laporan audit ini ialah dapat meningkatkan kecekapan agensi kerajaan itu sendiri, di mana biasanya laporan audit ini akan melaporkan bahagian yang perlu ditambah baik. Jadi berdasarkan kepada cadangan di dalam laporan tersebut, pegawai yang bertanggungjawab boleh menjadikan cadangan tersebut sebagai panduan dalam pembuatan keputusan seterusnya untuk meningkatkan kecekapan, keberkesanan dan juga accountability agensi kerajaan.
Baik, bercakap mengenai keberkesanan dan juga kecekapan dan juga kredibiliti laporan ini, sejauh mana kita nak pastikan ketiga-tiga aspek itu dapat kita saksikan dan bagaimana kita boleh sampaikan kepada pihak berkepentingan yang berkaitan, termasuklah penggubal dasar, agensi kerajaan dan juga orang awam, dan juga kita nak lihat bagaimana untuk kita pertimbangkan accessibility laporan itu dan supaya kita dapat lihat ataupun dibentangkan dalam format yang mudah difahami oleh semua pihak.
Alright, okay. Untuk itu untuk menyampaikan kita boleh lihat apa yang dibuat oleh Jabatan Audit Negara sekarang ini. Untuk laporan audit ini mereka telah berkongsi laporan audit di dalam laman web mereka. Jadi kita boleh akses dalam laman web tersebut dan melihat apa isu yang dibangkitkan di situ. Okey, kemudiannya dari situ kita juga rakyat juga diberi peluang untuk berkomunikasi dengan Jabatan Audit Negara, di mana kita boleh memberi pandangan, memberi maklum balas terhadap isu yang dibangkitkan. Apa-apa jua isu yang kita tidak pasti, kita boleh dapatkan penjelasan daripada Ketua Audit Negara itu sendiri. Dan di sini juga saya melihat peranan media adalah penting untuk mewawarkan tentang isu yang telah dibuat oleh Ketua Audit Negara itu sendiri. Pada masa ini rakyat ramai rakyat sebenarnya tidak tahu, tidak cakna tentang apa yang berlaku di dalam pengurusan kewangan negara. Terdapat banyak isu yang berkaitan dengan pematuhan, ketidakpatuhan prosedur kewangan. Jadi kat sini kita perlu maklumkan, wawarkan kepada rakyat bahawa terdapat isu yang ketara di dalam pentadbiran pengurusan kewangan.
Mungkin itu dari pihak rakyat ataupun dari sektor dari peringkat rakyat itu sendiri, tapi di peringkat kerajaan bagaimana untuk kita pastikan setiap sumber pengauditan ini dapat menggalakkan ataupun tingkatkan tanggungjawab fiskal dalam kerajaan untuk kita pastikan kita dapat memenuhi keperluan generasi teknologi yang bukan sahaja semasa tapi yang akan datang. Apa lagi penambahbaikan yang kita perlukan?
Ya, dari segi penambahbaikan, saya ingat di sini kerajaan perlu memastikan dari segi kawalan dalaman agensi itu sendiri. Sebenarnya kita boleh menggunakan, sekarang ini apa yang berlaku ialah kurangnya penyeliaan, kurangnya pemantauan yang dibuat oleh pihak atasan dalam agensi kerajaan. Dan ada kalanya mereka tidak kepakaran dalam unit audit dalaman itu sendiri. Mereka tidak basically mengambil sikap sambil lewa terhadap cadangan yang dibuat oleh unit audit dalaman. Jadi kebanyakan cadangan tidak dilaksanakan. Pada masa yang sama saya melihat agensi kerajaan perlu menggunakan sepenuhnya fungsi dan juga kepakaran yang ada dalam unit audit dalaman. Okey, contohnya dalam pembuatan keputusan yang melibatkan pembuatan keputusan strategik mereka perlu mendapatkan khidmat nasihat daripada unit audit dalaman, contohnya berkaitan dengan pelaburan dan juga pengurusan risiko.
Baik, jadi terima kasih diucapkan kepada Dr. Zaidi Mak Daud, Ketua Program atau Pensyarah Kanan Sekolah Perniagaan dan Ekonomi UPM. Semoga terima kasih kerana membantu kami faham lebih lanjut berkenaan kepentingan dan juga peranan LKAN, laporan tahunan audit negara ini dan juga peranannya kepada pembangunan negara supaya kita dapat elakkan ketirisan dari segi pengurusan belanjawan negara dan juga kita dapat mengimbangi fiskal negara. Baik, kita akan berhenti lihat seketika, kembali selepas ini.
FedEx Express mencipta rekod apabila berjaya melaksanakan penghantaran pakej rentas padan pertama dari Malaysia ke Singapura dengan kenderaan elektrik EV sekaligus meraih pengiktirafan Malaysia Book of Records MBOR. FedEx Express Malaysia meletakkan matlamat syarikat untuk mencapai operasi neutral karbon menjelang 2040. Hexstar Technology Solution Berhad menerusi Sing Hiap Ho Trading and Transport Sudan Berhad memeterai perjanjian jual beli SPA dengan dataran Ihsan Sudan Berhad bagi melupuskan tanah pajakan bernilai 8.78 juta ringgit di Kelang bagi mengembangkan perniagaan teknologinya. Pelupusan tanah seluas 0.9 hektar itu antara lain bertujuan menjana hasil daripada aset bukan teras dan menggunakan dana yang diperolehi bagi mengembangkan perniagaan teknologi. Bauset Properties Berhad menerusi Bauset DCP Sudan Berhad membentuk kerjasama dengan Opus International M Berhad melalui anak syarikatnya Opus International M Berhad bagi penyediaan rumusan tenaga mampan. Kerjasama itu merangkumi kontrak prestasi tenaga EPC dan memorandum penerokaan perniagaan MOBE. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com serta dagangnews.com.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat menyambut Ramadan Al-Mubarak. Inilah peluang kita meningkatkan kualiti masa bersama keluarga. Sebab masa adalah anugerah terindah. Tambah pula disulam dengan ibadah di bulan Ramadan. Ui, cantik sangat tu. Satu lagi, jangan lupa lepas tarawih nanti bersama saya dalam Malam Ini Ustaz Don. Teristimewa untuk anda, kami sediakan stiker pack saya dan rakan-rakan artis. Tang mana nak download? Jangan lupa My Astro app.
Di dalam setiap berita yang dibawa, konteks amat penting. Kami sentiasa membawakan yang tergempar dan terkini. Pastikan Astro Awani menjadi pilihan anda, tidak kira di mana sahaja anda berada.
Bertemu kembali dalam Niaga Awani, saya akan teruskan dengan perkembangan ringgit di mana ringgit diniagakan dalam jajaran kecil pada Selasa antara paras 4.676 hingga 4.684 berbanding dolar Amerika ketika peserta pasaran menunggu pengumuman data inflasi indeks harga pengguna IHP Amerika Syarikat bagi bulan Februari pada lewat malam semalam, kata seorang ahli ekonomi. Dan pada 6 petang ringgit meningkat kepada 4.6765 atau 6800 berbanding dolar Amerika daripada paras penutup 4.6805 atau 6830 pada Isnin. Baik, untuk setakat hari ini jam 9.22 pagi saya boleh kongsikan pergerakan ringgit setakat pagi ini ialah pada paras 4.678 dan ini ialah dalam jangka masa 1 minggu. Anda dapat lihat graf ini menurun dan apabila graf graf itu menurun, ia menunjukkan ringgit itu mengukuh. Baik, dan ini adalah dalam jangka masa seminggu. Saya boleh kongsikan juga dalam jangka masa sebulan dan juga setahun. Sebentar saja lagi kita dapat lihat pergerakan ringgit itu daripada bulan Februari. Kita dapat lihat penurunan ataupun penyusutan ringgit itu yang agak ketara, yang hampir mencecah dan juga melepasi pada paras 4.8 dan kemudian menunjukkan pengukuhan sehinggalah ke hari ini 13 Mac 2024 mencecah 4.678 dan kita mengharapkan pengukuhan ringgit itu akan berkekalan dan juga berterusan untuk hari-hari mendatang. Dan kalau kita dapat saksikan juga dalam jangka masa setahun, ini adalah pergerakan secara kasarnya kita dapat lihat ringgit itu makin menyusut, tapi kita dapat hari ini adalah petunjuk yang baik dengan mencecah bawah ataupun mencecah paras 4.678. Itu adalah prestasi ringgit. Seterusnya ke prestasi bursa di mana bursa Malaysia meneruskan kenaikannya untuk ditutup tinggi bagi hari keempat berturut-turut semalam, disokong oleh belian berterusan dalam kebanyakan saham wajaran tinggi di tengah-tengah pemulihan sentimen di pasaran serantau, kata seorang peniaga. Dan pada 5 petang, FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI atau FBM KLCI meningkat 9.8 mata kepada 1,554.56 daripada paras penutup 1,544.71 pada Isnin. Baik, saya akan kongsikan prestasi atau pergerakan FTSE Bursa Malaysia KLCI untuk setakat jam 9.08 pagi hari ini. Kalau anda dapat lihat, ia menunjukkan penurunan sebanyak 0.77% dan juga penurunan sebanyak 12.00 mata dan berada pada paras 1,542.56. Baik, kalau saya boleh kongsikan dalam jangka masa 5 hari untuk sehinggalah ke hari ini, hari Rabu, ia hampir mencecah 1,560 dan bergerak dalam jajaran ataupun dalam antara paras 1,530 sehinggalah 1,560 dan ini menunjukkan prestasi yang baik untuk pelabur negara. Dan kalau boleh kongsikan juga dalam jangka masa 1 bulan, anda dapat lihat pergerakan graf itu ada naik turunnya tapi masih dalam jangka ataupun dalam jajaran 1,530 dan 1,560. Baik, itu antara yang saya dapat kongsikan prestasi ringgit dan bursa setakat hari ini 13 Mac 2024. Dan saya akan teruskan dengan perkembangan seterusnya di mana Malaysia dan Kemboja memperkasa kerjasama dalam pembangunan ekosistem digital serta terbuka meneroka pelbagai peluang demi manfaat bersama. Kerjasama terbaru menerusi pertukaran dokumen memorandum persefahaman MOU antara 3 syarikat tempatan dengan 3 syarikat Kemboja dalam lawatan rasmi Menteri Digital Gobind Singh Dio di Kemboja pada Selasa.
Usaha kerjasama dan persetujuan itu katanya diselaraskan Perbadanan Ekonomi Digital Malaysia atau MDEC, iaitu agensi di bawah Kementerian Digital. Syarikat-syarikat terlibat yang menandatangani MOU itu Juai IQI Sdn Bhd dengan Premium Housing Group yang bertujuan mewujudkan pusat berteknologi tinggi Kemboja, Malaysia dan China CMC di wilayah Kendal yang mana berperanan mencipta rantaian bekalan mampan dan seimbang. Sitep MSC Sdn Bhd dengan Pexa Mobile Solution Co Limited bagi tujuan memperkasa kerjasama berkaitan keselamatan cyber dan Provintel Teknologi Sdn Bhd dengan Cellcard untuk meningkatkan integriti rangkaian komunikasi terutama dalam berdepan ancaman cyber yang berubah-ubah. Gobind berada di Kemboja bagi menyertai Forum Digital Kerajaan 2024 yang berperanan sebagai platform pembuat dasar para pemimpin industri dan para pakar dalam bidang teknologi digital.
3 terowong projek laluan rel pantai timur ECRL dengan jumlah panjang 1,309 meter di Bentong berjaya ditembusi dalam tempoh sehari, menjadikan 30 terowong di sepanjang jajaran ECRL selesai dengan kerja pengerikan setakat ini. Malaysia Rail Link Sdn Bhd MRL dalam kenyataan hari ini memaklumkan 3 terowong adalah terowong Bentong 1 sepanjang 561 meter, terowong Kampung Lentang 1 270 meter dan terowong Kampung Lentang 2 478 meter.
Ketua Pegawai Eksekutifnya, Datuk Seri Darwis Abdul Razak berkata, projek ECRL mencapai kejayaan baharu dengan 30 penembusan terowong dan pencapaian itu didokong oleh teknologi pengorekan terowong yang canggih dan kerjasama erat pasukan ECRL di jajaran sepanjang 665 km. Beliau optimis pembinaan jajaran ECRL dari Kota Baru ke Terminal Pengangkutan Bersepadu Gombak akan siap pada Disember 2026. ECRL secara keseluruhan mencapai kemajuan 62.4% setakat Februari lepas yang disokong oleh 23,000 pekerja di kira-kira 1,900 tapak pembinaan di sepanjang jajarannya di Kelantan, Terengganu, Pahang dan Selangor. Projek ECRL melibatkan pembinaan 41 terowong dengan jarak keseluruhan kira-kira 69 km di sepanjang jajarannya dengan 21 terowong terletak di Seksyen A, Kota Baru Dungun dan Seksyen B, Dungun Mentakap, manakala 20 terowong di Seksyen C, Mentakap Pelabuhan Klang.
Hong Leong Islamic Bank HLISB telah memperkenalkan bis halal rumusan perbankan Islam bersepadu yang membantu perniagaan terutamanya perusahaan kecil dan sederhana PKS untuk menceburi ekonomi halal. Selaras dengan penekanan kerajaan untuk mengembangkan ekosistem halal di Malaysia, bis halal akan menawarkan pembiayaan penuh syariah kepada perniagaan yang dilengkapi dengan nasihat dan bimbingan daripada pakar-pakar industri halal bank tersebut. Hos wanita meraih lebih 217.9 juta pendapatan pada 2023 melalui aktiviti penginapan di platform Airbnb di Malaysia. Ketua Dasar Awam Airbnb untuk Asia Tenggara, India, Hong Kong dan Taiwan, Mitch Goh berkata, hos wanita di Malaysia turut meraih beberapa pencapaian termasuk peratusan ulasan 5 bintang lebih tinggi pada 2023 berbanding 2022. Maxis dan Dell Technologies akan bekerjasama untuk memperkasakan perniagaan di Malaysia dengan rumusan keselamatan cyber termaju dan rumusan titik akhir perusahaan yang inovatif menerusi 5G. Di bawah memorandum persefahaman MOU yang telah dimeterai oleh mereka, Maxis dan Dell Technologies akan bergabung tenaga mengusahakan penawaran yang akan melindungi perniagaan daripada ancaman cyber dengan lebih baik dan memastikan mekanisme pemulihan perniagaan yang teguh. Laporan penuh di saluran 501 dan astroawani.com, sedagangnews.com.
Berbekalkan 5 tahun pengalaman bekerja di syarikat membuat racun, seorang pemuda telah membuka perniagaan sendiri bagi memudahkan petani mendapatkan bekalan racun serta baja untuk tanaman mereka. Walaupun memerlukan perniagaan ketika pandemik COVID-19 melanda negara, namun ia bukanlah penghalang kepada Muhammad Hafizi Johari untuk mendapatkan pelanggan dan memajukan syarikat miliknya HJM Group Enterprise.
Malah HJM Group yang beroperasi di Penaga Kepala Batas Pulau Pinang bukan sahaja menjadi tumpuan petani dari Pulau Mutiara tetapi juga petani dari negeri jiran yang mahu membeli baja dan racun. Muhammad Hafizi, 33 tahun, mengakui promosi secara agresif melalui media sosial mampu melonjakkan perniagaannya hingga menjadi tumpuan petani dari kawasan utara Semenanjung.
Masa permulaan saya buka tahun 2020 tu, kedai saya pun kecil ya. Lebih kurang 1 pintu. Jadi sambil itu saya pakai media sosial lah untuk iklan kedai saya. Alhamdulillah banyak customer luar yang datang. Lepas tu juga untuk bagi customer yakin dengan kedai saya perbesar kedai saya untuk bagi customer yakin dan saya masuk macam-macam baja, racun, alatan pertanian dan kedai saya kalau mai boleh kata semua barang tu ada. Kebanyakan customer saya daripada Penang, ada juga daripada Kedah dan Perak.
Selain mempromosikan peralatan pertanian di HJM Group, Muhammad Hafizi turut memanfaatkan media sosial dengan memberi khidmat nasihat terutama kepada mereka yang baru mencuburi sektor pertanian atau penanaman padi. Dalam media sosial saya juga banyak bagi khidmat nasihat ataupun cara guna sebab kadang-kadang petani tu dia tak tahu cara guna. Sebab tu saya kadang-kadang saya menggunakan platform media sosial untuk bagi tip penggunaan racun, baja dan pemilihan racun yang tepat. Dekat kedai ni kadang ada customer yang baru
Dekat kedai ni ada yang datang tu macam petani yang dia baru nak buat padi. Jadi dia akan datang kedai, dia akan tanya daripada awal sampai habis. Dekat situ kita akan membantu dia sebab apa? Dia tak pernah beli racun dan tak pernah buat bendang. Jadi kita tolong dia bagi nasihat.
Muhammad Hafizi turut merancang untuk menghasilkan baja jenama sendiri dalam tempoh 2 tahun akan datang bagi membantu petani mendapatkan baja terbaik. Beliau juga menyatakan bahawa syarikat itu terbuka untuk mempertimbangkan penubuhan cawangan baharu di negeri lain sekiranya keadaan ekonomi kembali stabil.
...222 wakil rakyat melontar hujah suara rakyat, bergema di bangunan keramat demi amanah juga mandat. Ikuti liputan inklusif sidang Parlimen bersama
saya, Umawati Ramaya.
Saya, Hasimi Muhammad.
Dan saya, Idaudin Daud. Hanya di Astro AWANI.
Sejarah boleh berubah dalam sesaat dengan permainan yang tidak boleh dijangka. Era baharu muncul.
Great play. Absolutely unbelievable.
Bersama kemegahan yang belum pernah dilihat. All England 2024 secara langsung di Astro Arena, Astro Supersport dan Astro Go.
The Institute of Corporate Directors Malaysia, ICDM, recently launched their first 2024 ASEAN Board Trends report, and the report reveals the imperative for boards in ASEAN to realign parties toward the effective and sustainable governance. And to discuss further about this report, we have the President and Chief Executive Officer of ICDM herself, Michelle Kaidilin. I want to say thank you very much for joining us, Michelle. We know that the reports of this survey consists of 335 respondents, comprising boards of C-suite management from across the region. Maybe you can share a bit brief or some background of the 2024 ASEAN Board Trend Reports.
Thank you, Nina, and good morning, everyone. The 2024 or 2024 ASEAN Board Trend Survey that we recently launched is actually the second that we've done. The last was in 2022. And for 2024, what we did differently was we included respondents from the senior management side of things. So not just board members themselves or board directors themselves, but also senior management to kind of get a more holistic view of the performance of boards. And the results and outcome that we got was actually quite telling and a little bit concerning as well. Because out of the 335 respondents, I think the major takeaway was that boards need to look inwards towards themselves more before looking outwards, and that a lot of management think that boards do not as yet possess the required knowledge in order to steer their companies. So the takeaways we got from that report was basically 4 key trends moving forward in terms of, firstly, talent and leadership. Secondly, in terms of sustainability and organizational strategies as well. Thirdly, in terms of board and management relationship and dynamics. And fourthly, on sustainability. These are the 4 key threats moving forward in the next 2 years. And what we realized as well coming out from this report is that there are about 5 critical areas that boards need to focus on to improve their effectiveness. Firstly, as I mentioned, talent and leadership. So boards need to reprioritize how they look at their companies, not the old ways of doing things, not the outdated approaches, not looking through yesterday's lens. They need to look at trends moving forward. And that comes through their management responses as well. Secondly, on board management relationship as well, we wanted or rather management wanted to see that boards were focusing more on talent and people and human capital, less on business models and transformations, things that were coming out of the pandemic. Yeah. Thirdly, in terms of board skills, there was a need to relook at the type of skills that are on boards now. There are gaps in terms of sustainability, in terms of digital, in terms of technology, AI, those sort of skill sets. And therefore, the required competencies to take their companies forward is lacking. There's a gap there. Also, the role of what we call, in most listed companies, the Nomination and Remuneration Committee, which oversees a lot of human capital issues. So that's come to the forefront now, and that needs to have a higher and more visible role. Fourthly, on board management relationship, again, management see that boards lack diverse perspectives. They're not giving conflicting views. But bear in mind, this is an ASEAN Board Trends report with the responses from 8 ASEAN countries, all within the region, 9 including ourselves. And therefore, there could be a cultural aspect to that, why boards are not speaking up. But again, if they are independent directors, they must speak up. Right? You can't not speak up. So that's the fourth sort of critical area. And lastly, it's on sustainability. So as we mentioned, skill sets are lacking. Boards lack the knowledge as well to steer sustainability governance within their companies.
And these are the 4 key trends, or we can call it the critical components that will be the main focus in the future, especially for the next 2 years. Yep. Maybe you can help us understand, where do ASEAN boards currently stand in terms of their leadership in the sustainability issues?
In terms of their leadership, now, if you look at sustainability, it's really much an quote-unquote all-of-society approach, right? Everyone needs to be involved within the company. It's your management who drive it on the ground, build their reporting structures, obtain data from all the different business units, and that gets escalated to the board. So that's in Malaysia at least, but they're quite common throughout the region. And boards, I think about 43% are actually integrating sustainability into their operations, but a large number, about 46% or so, are only in a developing stage, right? Those who are mature enough for the last 4 years and been doing, strategic sustainable management are probably in a minority of about 9%. Okay. And 25% have a plan, about to execute. About 17% have no plan at all.
Well, that's a lot of percentage.
Yes, and about 3% just are not doing anything at this point. So you see the bulk are in a developing stage. So overall, the view is that most boards are just learning or adapting and slowly starting to integrate sustainability into their business. And we're talking about core business into their culture as well. A lot of boards are not there. And we run the mandatory accreditation program, which is called Leading for Impact. This is for all public listed company directors. We run that. And that's focused purely on ESG and sustainability. And we do see, even in the classroom, that there's very much a mix. And it kind of echoes those sort of proportions. The bulk of people are still developing. So they're all still learning.
Still a work in progress.
There's still a lot to go, yeah.
And talking about one of the key trends that you mentioned just now, about to focus on sustainability in leadership, and how are boards discerning the sustainability agenda that holds the utmost relevance to their businesses?
In terms of driving sustainability, there's no one size fits all. It depends on your market size, it depends on your industry, it depends who your ecosystem players are, your supply chain, your stakeholders, right? The risks in your particular business. There's so many factors, so there's no one size fits all, right? But from the survey, what we gather is that over 40% actually are looking towards either external experts, they are looking to benchmark. One other way is looking towards your peers within the industry to see where you are and benchmark. Actually, there's a lot to be said for working together, because sustainability needs everyone involved, right? And no point. For example, if you were a property developer looking at more green concrete, everyone needs to get together so that you can develop, and there can be economies of scale in developing such things. So everyone needs to come together. So a lot of companies are doing that, over 40%, but you see the bulk are still not yet there. So there's still a lot more to learn. And really, if you think about it, sustainability strategy has to be agile. It has to move. It's not static. It's not something that you come up with for the next 5 years. It moves all the time.
It is not easy, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes. And the bulk and the percentage, it's quite huge, the gap, we can see that. And talking about sustainability, what are the primary sustainability concerns that organizations are dedicating significant attention to at the level of the board or even the board committees?
Yeah. Again, there's no one size fits all, but we do see some common areas. Top of it, and I'll say this in terms of priority, top of it is people. Right? It's talent management, succession planning. It's people, right? Not the business, it's people. Secondly, I think it was energy management. That's a big topic as well. Thirdly, still people, again, talent and leadership. All these come up at the top. So the people issues are right at the top. Then comes water management, waste management, climate. So at the top, it's people. Right, so the boards need to really refocus, or rather, if I could say, balance out their consideration and their priorities. Yes, we always look at the business. There's always the financial side of things, but people are just as important. Sustainability is almost like when you make a business decision, right? You're very conscious and aware of the outcome, and you have to consider that. So same thing when you look at that in terms of finances. You need to look at that in terms of sustainability, in terms of your people. It's the same thing, and you need to look at the business being sustainable as well. It's not just adopting sustainability practices, it's having a sustainable business. And what's going to lead that? Your people. Yeah.
Maybe you want to learn some of the challenges, obstacles that were faced previously back in the days and maybe in the future. What are some of the main core challenges faced by board members when supervising a sustainability initiative within their organizations?
Yeah, and now that comes through quite clearly. I think at the start, from the responses, the structure, because governance underpins sustainability, right? There's no way about it. So to start with, you need the right structure. Obtaining data, as I said, from your management level, reporting up, that sort of oversight structure, that is one major challenge for boards. Secondly, it's policies and procedures to execute, right? Thirdly, it's also culture, right? Embedding that right culture within organizations. Now we do at ICDM, we do a lot of board evaluations, and we see this. Sustainability always comes out as an area that requires improvement. And a lot of time, it's employees who feel that, it's being done in a very compliance way. It's to tick the box rather than embedding the right sustainable culture within an organization. So that's a big challenge as well. The other areas are performance management, because the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance does recommend that ESG targets be set as part of the senior management performance management. So performance management, measurement of that, setting targets, that's a challenge as well. Stakeholder engagement is a big challenge, because you need to engage with your stakeholders to get their feedback, to know what to do, right, and whether you're doing it right. So it's a two-way transparency process, right? And these are the main challenges really for companies now in terms of embedding sustainability within the companies.
These are the main challenges that need to be addressed aggressively and on a speed. And amid the escalating discourse surrounding this issue, what responsibility do boards bear in guaranteeing that the organisation abstain from making unfounded green assertion?
Green assertions. I mean, we've heard so many green terms now, right? It's not just greenwashing, you've got green hushing, which is a big issue now. It's a big issue now. I mean, the role of boards, really, it's multifaceted. There's no one way. And it's not easy. And it is a work in progress. It's a constant work in progress, from transparency. I mean, that underpins governance. You have to be transparent about your practices. You can't be green hushing. You can't be hiding behind a fear of being accountable. Then you shouldn't be on a board, right? And once you start to hide, so that there's less scrutiny in terms of your activities, you're not being transparent, you're not being honest, that impacts your credibility in the market. And investors will know that, stakeholders will find out, right? So always be transparent, right? And that then leads to governance, having the right governance. Also people, employee relations, engaging your employees, that's important. That's another area. Stakeholder engagement, I've said this before. If you don't engage with your stakeholders, it's going to be an even more of an uphill battle.
True.
Right? Get them on your side, make sure they know what you're doing, make sure they know what you're trying to do even. Sometimes we say the storytelling is as important as what you're doing.
You need to gain their trust.
Yes, gain their trust. Tell them what you do. Even if you're not doing it yet, tell them what you plan to do. Right? That builds up the trust rather than not saying it. Right? So green hushing is a no-no, right? Obviously. And silence versus transparency, that's just going to encourage a whole lot of issues. You're going to encourage misinformation, all that. So you know, companies need to be as transparent as they can be, right? And also risk mitigation. You need to make sure you're overseeing the risks as well as opportunities when you look at sustainability. That's important. And people management. End of the day.
True. It's interesting. We want to talk more about green hushing, but we'll be taking a short break, and we'll be right back.
Gempur di Awani 7:45. Anugerah yang merangkul nyawa seorang ibu.
Nak asal kena kau. Patutnya dia yang mati, bukan mak. Abang, anak si Jusu tu kusam. Satu aku.
Keliru tanpa kasih ibu.
Kita lelaki.
Abang belum boleh lupakan lagi arwah Minah.
Tu dah anggap dah anak-anak abang macam anakku sendiri.
Mampukah kasih ibu dikembalikan? Kunsa di Astro dan On Demand.
All right, welcome back to Niaga Awani. We're going to continue discussing with our guest. In the studio is Michelle Kaidilim, the President and CEO of ICDM. And previously, before the break, you have shared about green hushing. And we can see that it has become and emerged as a concerning trend in response to the growing emphasis on ESG crisis. And especially, your thoughts, Michelle, what are your perspective on this development?
And development of
the green hushing on this topic area,
yeah. I mean, really, trust is a company's greatest commodity, right? You need to work on that. You need to build that. Don't hide behind silence. That's a dangerous practice. You know, be as forthcoming as possible. As I said, storytelling. You know, telling the story is more important than even the actions. We need to build that trust with our people. We need to build that trust with our stakeholders. So that there's a lot of work that needs to go into there. But disclosure and transparency underpins that. There needs to be full and frank disclosure. There needs to be transparent disclosures about their practices. Secondly, it's also having the right knowledge and skill sets on the board. That helps so that when boards know and when boards govern well, there's less likely to be greenwashing, right? Because you greenwash when you don't know what to do, you don't know what to say, and you want to hide behind or say less. You know, so get on top of the trends, get on top of sustainability practices. And as I said, there's no one size fits all. Each company has its own maturity journey in terms of sustainability. Look inside more, and what the survey tells us is boards need to look inside, look at their skill sets, look at their composition, focus on their people, and then start looking outwards, you know. But of course, transparency and disclosure underpins a lot of that as well. So they need to look at all of that, measure their risk, assess their risks, and focus on their people, listen to their management. That's a big part of it. So it's an ongoing process.
There's no one size that fit all, but we have to make sure to maintain the quality, the relevance, and the sustainability. And in what ways do you believe sustainability reporting can address misleading green claims and bolster organizational initiative in advancing the sustainability agenda?
I mean, disclosure is your storytelling. You know, why would you not want to tell your story? Even if as I've said, if you haven't started taking action, if you have plans, tell the story. You know, that builds so much trust, and your trust bank that, you know, just fills up. And that's value to a company, because then your stakeholders value you. They see the value in your company. They see the efforts. They see the authenticity. I think it's important that leaders and boards display authentic, genuine concern about the environment, about their people. And that comes through when you disclose. So disclosure really is the way about it. There are many tools to disclosure. There are many things that can help you. There are many national standards. There are many international frameworks. There's so much out there. There's Bursa in Malaysia. Bursa has come out with a new sustainability framework. So it's all there. And it's there to help companies. You just need to make sure that's embedded in your organization, have the right structure so that you're reporting correctly and you're not greenwashing, obviously, and providing false information. So you have to make sure that the information is accurate and that can be verified. I mean, Bursa as well has a platform and now all companies will be rated for their sustainability efforts. So it's all coming out. So companies need to be ready.
Yeah, I also just recently joined in Bursa. Definitely, they were like pretty up on the sustainability green initiative.
That's right.
And we want to look at the immediate steps can board members take to elevate the sustainability governance.
Again, looking inwards, skill sets is one. Start off with the right board composition. We tell boards this, do your board skills matrix for your company, and that skills matrix will change over time. It's not static. It will change depending on your strategy, depending on the where you are in terms of your sustainability journey, depends on your how mature you are in your particular industry. Look at your board skills matrix. Now, from the survey, it has clearly come out, and the management have said this, that boards lack the skill sets for ESG. Boards themselves also realize that they lack the skill sets. But what's comforting is that about 80% of boards are willing to go through the training, the required training, development programs to improve their skills. And as I've said, at ICDM, we run the Mandatory Accreditation Program, LIP, or Leading for Impact Program, which is purely on sustainability. So there are programs out there. And we are helping to develop the skills in that. Also focus on how you develop within the company the required skill sets to run sustainability. So you need the right skill sets at the board, you need the right skill sets at your senior management level. And the nomination or remuneration committee, or normally the nomination, or it could even be a governance committee, oversee these sort of human capital issues within a company. So that NRC or nomination or remuneration committee needs to come to the fore. There's a lot. There's talent development, there's succession planning, as we spoke about. You need to have those right skill sets in the company. We also need to have greater knowledge, more networking between companies. So don't just look within your company and look at sustainability within your company. You want to compare notes, share with your peers, find out what others are doing, network with others, and we provide those sort of platforms as well at ICDM, so people can network, compare, have discourse over their journeys, right? And we find that adds a lot of value to companies. In fact, in terms of disclosure, a lot of companies in the survey have said they have seen a lot of value add in terms of disclosure, because it improves their processes, improves their benchmarking initiatives, it improves their performance management as well, improves their branding, improves their market opportunities, market access. So there are a lot of positives. So this is what boards need to look at moving forward. Yeah. And again, if you want to have the right skill sets on board, you need to pay them right. So remuneration, reviewing your remuneration policy as well at the board level is very, very important.
Looking outside of ASEAN, for example, like we go on the Europe side, what can we learn and adapt, especially for the broad trends, the key trends, especially in the context of ASEAN?
I think in terms of ASEAN, if you want to compare to the more developed world, there's a lot for us to do. And again, I say this, there's no one size fits all. Every company, every country, every industry has a different benchmark to reach. And different ways of attaining that. And when you look at sustainability, it's not just doing it, as I said, for to tick the box on compliance. You have to live it. It needs to be internalized. It needs to be real. It needs to be genuine. So therefore, you may not necessarily adopt what's in the West, necessary, wholesale, but you could adopt the many practices that we see in ASEAN which are relevant. So again, it boils down to people, talent management, having the right processes in place, having the right structures in place, having the right policies in place. There's a lot more still that boards have to do, even within ASEAN. So we don't even have to go far away. Within ASEAN, we can already compare and say that there's still many gaps that we need to fill. But it's all there. The frameworks are there within the jurisdictions. The tools are there. The standards are there. We just need to get boards competent enough to be on board and to run these within their companies and to get the right people on board as well.
Is Malaysian, for example, ready enough to fully jump the ship?
There's no ready enough. We just have to be ready and make the efforts now. We need to act now. We need to listen, right? And there's just no time to waste. It's not whether we'll be ready or not. We just need to act now.
And we're talking about technology, innovation currently. How can it be leveraged to enhance the governance practices in ASEAN, promoting efficiency, accessibility, and even citizen engagement in the decision-making process?
I think at the policy level, there's a lot of effort that's been done there. And I think Malaysia, to our benefit, have very, very good regulation and policies in place. Of course, a lot can still be done. I think what we need is the society and companies to come together and be involved and have a say in this. Not be in the dark. You don't want to be the 3% or the 17% who still have no idea. You want to be in the 46%. In fact, you should be moving towards the 9% who are already there. Strategically running their sustainability management within their companies. That's what we need to benchmark ourselves against. And I think everyone needs to come together. We shouldn't be working in silos as well. We should be working together because this is where we get the economies of scale and we get everyone working together for a common good. And it's for your future generation. Why wouldn't you do that?
True.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
And education and awareness is very essential and important. What role should we can see education, awareness in raising this initiative playing in promoting sustainable governance, values and principle especially among the citizens, fostering a culture of active citizenship and civic responsibility within the ASEAN societies?
Yeah. So again, learning I think is important and constant learning, lifelong learning. But again, not just formal learning, informal learning as well. You want to be able to learn not just from a classroom kind of a situation. You also want to learn from others, right? And I think that's equally valuable, if not more. You also want to know what's happening on the ground. Board members should take themselves to the ground and see what's happening on the ground, not just sit in boardrooms. They must make their site visits. They must go to the ground and see what's happening. And then you have a feel. Believe me, the employees on the ground appreciate it when they see us going to the ground. So there needs to be, learning both, I think, formally and informally, and learning what headwinds are coming as well. We need to know so that we can prepare ourselves and mitigate the risks of that. So, learning formal, informal, and current plus future, right? And make sure we're seeing everything and not just working based on what we've always done in the past.
Yes, we need to integrate comprehensively more to a 360 degree. And I would say thank you very much to Michelle Kaiti Lim, the President and Chief Executive Officer of ICDM. Definitely a good sharing on how to build tomorrow leadership, which is very imperative for sustainable governance in ASEAN. I would say thank you very much. And for those who missed this discussion, it will be featured in astroawani.com and all digital platforms. And that's it for Niaga Awani. I'm Nina Rozman. Catch you on the next.